you should change your life now. Well, I mean, only if you are not extremely happy, loving everything that you're doing in your life, and you have enough money. If you have all those things, you don't need to change. But if you're still angry, if you're still depressed, if you still don't find or have that life purpose that you want to have, or don't have that love of your life, if you don't have any of those things, you should change your life. See, because you can do that. And the reason I'm saying you should change it now is because if you do that, not only would you have this magnificent life, but you would help our planet as well. See, because you've probably noticed that things are going a little crazy in the world. And that's not accidental because it's all energetic. And if you were to study sciences, quantum sciences, or if you were to study astronomy or all of that, you would see that there are changes that happen over time in our world, on our planet, in our universe. And we're experiencing that now, which is why it's been so stressful. But then the other thing that we discover as we live and as things are discovered is that we have the ability to create the life that we want. We have the ability to create the world that we want to have. And I talked about this so much because I know it's true. I recorded something and put it out the other day, and I said, I know what you can do. And I say that because I know what you can do because I've done it. And I say things and people get a little upset, like, no, my life has been terrible. I haven't done this. I can't get there. Or they're sitting someplace now where they're terribly afraid. They don't know what's going to happen next, have no money, all of that's just a mess. And that's what you're looking at. But you could change your life now. Everyone can do that. And I can say these things with such vigor, let's say, because of what I've lived. See, the way that the world operates, the way that evolution occurs, is that we move through times, difficult, challenging times, over centuries, let's say. Let's just talk about it. And so every time people come through with some new information that can make things better, but that comes to them through what they've lived. See, I've lived it. I could talk all day about, my personal development course. I could talk all day about all of that, but you've heard all of those things. The only difference with me is that I lived it. I've proven it. I've gone through the most challenging, difficult experience that any human could ever experience. And I keep talking about the fact I'll be 73 in November because I feel great. And you stop aging when you understand this. And you've heard that probably from a lot of different folks. But it also takes time for us to accept who we are because we have to move through all the old stuff. I had to do that as well. I had help, though, through cosmic information. See, because there's universal laws that no matter who you are, they always work. This is why I say that everybody who's in my program, they're wondering, why am I changing so much? Just because I sat down every day of my life for 35 years and wrote down this information I was receiving, and it transformed my life. The only difficulty anyone has is believing that is true. I remember a long time ago listening to Les Brown, and I love Les Brown, and he made this quote. He says, the most difficult thing, he said, the easiest thing I ever did in my life was making $1 million, was earning $1 million. That was the easiest thing that I ever did. The most difficult thing was convincing myself I could do it. And I know that one because I lived that one as well. I never thought I was going to make $1 million at one point because I was homeless. Sometimes I lost everything. I've gone through more things than anybody could possibly imagine. And then the things that I healed physically, because again, when you understand who you are, because you have a soul that was given to you that you're supposed to live. That's your life journey. That's your divine plan, as I call it. I don't talk about, I've never gone into the whole spiritual community very much. I never did that. I was doing all these other things, see, because I wanted people to understand you don't have to go off into some sanctuary to get this stuff. You just have to decide that you want it. That's all. It's not, so I didn't want people to have this classification that maybe you had to go into some sort of spiritual thing. To me, spiritual means when you come to understand that every single soul that comes onto the planet has worth and purpose, and all they have to do is figure out what that is and then live it, and then they give something back to the world that causes our world to become better. But when we go on in our society for years and years, centuries, where people don't understand that, then we end up with a world that looks the way that it does now. And people now are thinking, oh, wow, what's going to happen? Is North Korea going to launch a nuclear missile? Is Putin going to do something? All of that stuff. Again, it's all energy. And we can sit in fear of that, or we can decide that we're going to really become happy and we're going to do what we came to the world to do. And that's going to shift the energies of our world. And then we start to see something very different. And that's what I'm doing. My message this morning, if you look at it, was so interesting because, see, I received this message in 2012 when I was receiving all this guidance about this particular time in our world. And they said, you can sit and think about everything all day. You can sit and think about it. Doing is a very different thing. And today I said, okay, I've got to do now. Because I hid myself away just like you did. I told people at one point years ago, I said, I'm a reluctant mystic. See, because I wasn't really ready to talk about that or own it, even though I had lived it, but it's still, I'm an introvert as well. So I don't like a lot of people coming and looking at all of it. It was just all very private for so long. You've done that too, where you don't think that what you have is really worthy, or if it's not enough and you couldn't use it to create the life that you want to have. Or you can't figure out why you're having all these disasters and why you all these terrible relationships. And that's probably coming up for a lot of you right now. Because see, that's another change that's happening in our world, which is why I'm moving into relationships with those who are in my program. We're going to be working on that because we're going to all have some struggles with that coming up. Because we're all evolving into the people that we want to be. And so the folks that you might have been with may no longer be the people you want to be with now. Everything evolves energetically. And our individual souls, our DNA, because it's all going to be different, are going to do the same thing. And if we can't own who we are, then we're not living the lives that we're supposed to have. And I will say to every single person, you're supposed to be happy. You're supposed to have abundance. You're supposed to be able to heal everything in your life. You're supposed to be able to do that. But it also means that you have to try. That's all that it is. And I was willing to do that. And I did that because I had to. I had a lot of challenges. I had a lot of things that I had to move through in my life. A lot of it was generational, things that I inherited, that I came to believe about myself, just like you. But then when we move through those, it's a glorious time. And so what's happened now is that when I first talked about this on my program, and I've been talking about the changes in the world for a while, but when I talked about my program, and that was in December of 2021, I said, I'm not sure, like you did, about things you're going to do. I'm not sure if it's going to work. But then I did it, and then things started to take off. And now what's happening is I'm working with the most wonderful people I could have ever wanted to see, because we're having a good time. Because when we get together in our group calls, we're talking about where we are, creating something new, getting on with doing it, supporting one another, moving through the blockages, moving through our shame, embarrassment, doubt, all that stuff. And then we're having a good time as we're doing it. And that's what I want to give to everyone, because we're going to move through some challenging times, and you need to understand what's happening. You might have been confused about what was happening in the world, but again, it's a generational change, and it's all energetic, and we contribute to it when we decide that we're going to change our lives so that we become the people we're meant to become, so that we're happy and in love with ourselves. That's all you got to do. So you might want to change now.
I haven't done anything like this.
It's increased the confidence that I've had in myself.
Everything is better. I mean, every single aspect of my life. My income, the progress is just amazing. Like, you can see changes from week to week.
Introducing your last development program, Life Transformation for Success, the newest part of Roger Burnley's coaching series. In this 3-month online program, you will learn the mindset tools you need to dissolve the shame of your past, discover the gifts within you that make you important to the world, and get the confidence to rise above anything that stands between you and the life that you want.
Everything changed in my life. Everything. Every single thing.
It's time for you to reprogram your mind for success and become self-actualized. If you're ready to transform your life too, learn more at yourlastdevelopmentprogram.com today.